here printed with the results. So, for instance, I know that Dingley Ren has won, and it's like if we're looking at the top favorites, all top 5 have won their games. Then Levon Aronian was the highest rated guy not to win, so he made the draw.
That's true.
And then, in order to find the favorite who has lost his game, we have to go down all the way to board 16, where Radoslav Wojtaszek has lost with white against Johan Sebastian Christiansen from Norway, and now it will be quite tough. It will be quite tough for Wojtaszek to come back.
So yeah, that's true. No, well, it's good that you have this printout, Evgeny, but still we have plenty of room to stumble and fumble. So expect us to do so again.
And he was still the oldest participant in the World Cup, Boris.
He was the oldest participant 2 years ago?
Yes, absolutely.
Of all the 128 players? Amazing.
Being like 2 years ago, Boris was 49 and he was the oldest participant. So now for a change, he isn't. So Samuel Gindi is the oldest participant, and also Sam does a good job of, holding back Levon Aronian for a time being.
Oh yeah. Well, so here's the situation. Levon, no, right, so that came out of what? Some Queen Nimzo? No, it's a Nimzo.
Bishop e4,
yeah, but look at Gindi. No, well, usually people who play e3 in this position, you gotta be like a Mamediyarov or be in a absolutely fighting mood.
Yeah?
Only 2 choices. Now, I'm not familiar with Gindi's games well enough to tell if he always plays the same-ish variation against Nimzo, but it's a very sharp line. And what about this move, knight c6?
Not sure, to be honest.
Not the most...
It's like he tries to achieve sort of the usual setup, because this knight belongs to a5, right? So knight c6, knight a5, b6, bishop a6, attacking the c4 pawn, that's what they do. It's just that the moves order is rather unusual. Right?
What the move order does to him, so he has to play d6, which is not really part of a traditional setup, because you remember knight e8, knight d6 that black does.
Yeah, okay, we can show this, like instead of knight c6.
Exactly. Well,
much more common is to
c5.
Well, c5 or castle first.
Well, they can do
c5. Here you actually do c5 and f3, d5. That's like the usual line, right? No, d5 takes with the knight.
But on this you can also castle here. Bishop g5 is not a problem here at all, because queen a5.
Just yet, yeah. So it's e4, and then at some point they just play knight e8 immediately, or
yeah. Well, you cannot play b6. Your queen must be able to go to a5. So you can even play this move here.
Yeah, and then knight will later on go to d6, knight c6, a5. Okay, black tries to get
that's one of move orders. There are some others. What knight c6 does in this situation forces black to put the pawn on d6, which may be okay. And now white did play bishop g5, of course, but he did it before black castle, so there is a possibility of g5.
Bishop h4, bishop a6.
Yeah.
Queen e2. Queen d7, opting for a4. Once again, that's a traditional and tricky, but at the same time, traditional way black gets his queen into play in those structures.
And also one more comment here. Well, if black had castled short before, maybe we would not have seen the move queen d7, because the damage caused by the capture on f6 would be related to the position of the black king. In this situation, for white to take on f6 is not really much of an accomplishment, because the black king is not there.
Okay, white played a4?
White played a4, of course.
And then
we will see what happened after that.
Interestingly enough, I'm looking at, an immediate attempt to create some problems for white, because there is a move knight b3 for black, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it's that easy to immediately refute. Rook b1. The plan was to take on a4.
It will probably backfire.
It does seem to be very dangerous. Bishop to c2 or
queen d1.
Queen d1. Queen d1 works immediately.
Knight c5.
But then we just take the knight.
Take on c5.
This doesn't really work. Yeah.
So
But at some point,
Well,
this
no,
knight b3 is something to
absolutely.
watch out for.
Absolutely. No, well, as they say, black in most cases, they're waiting for the white a pawn to move before capturing on c3. But nonetheless, the ball is in Levon's court. He needs to decide which way to take the game. And I think he can castle long here. It's not e5 is not an issue, obviously, because of the reasons why. The bishop on d3 is not protected.
Yeah, but then you might as well start with g5 just in case.
No, so he can put his king in the position of relative
castle
safety.
long, king b8,
Yes,
and then
yes, he
still
could do that.
possibilities to go c5, or sometimes just queen c6, attacking the c4 pawn one more time.
Well, yeah, that is true, of course. Now, another move, as you mentioned. What about queen c6?
Queen c6 immediately I didn't quite like, because, it does achieve something, because white is almost forced to go d5, it seems, right? But then black doesn't have a comfortable square, because comfortable square would be queen c5, but it loses to bishop f2. So it's like you basically waste two tempi. I don't know if queen b7 makes any sense.
Yeah, but
Perhaps
what about
just
yesterday's game?
back
Remember
to
that?
d7.
Remember how bishop g5 was played and then bishop back to e3
in
by
Wesley Stoll's
Saw?
game? Yeah, but
Yeah, maybe
it's not why he won this game. I mean, not because he lost a couple of tempi, even though it was an interesting idea.
No, I think these guys, like they're so rich of ideas. I mean, top players that I wouldn't completely put it past Levon Aronian to play even this.
This and
come
then
back.
just go back to d7.
Yeah, it could, but all right, I get it. So, what else? You mentioned g5. We probably have to move on, but is g5 really necessary right now? If we don't care, we didn't care for the capture on f6 before, maybe white, don't know. Maybe white wasn't going to do this at all.
g5.
Bishop will pull back, and then maybe white can attack with the h-pawn. Maybe not.
Yeah, but somehow I don't like what white have done up to this point, because even after g5 bishop f2, it's really hard to finish the development. Well, that's a question. First time I see some question in the this one is from the Twitch chat. Like, what do we think? Will Levon play for a win and take risk, or he'll be happy to draw and go into tie breaks? And I'll say that he won't do any of that. He will try to play for a win, avoiding risks. I mean, if of course it's possible to do. So that's, I mean, in such uncertain situation, it's much easier if you either won game one or lost game one. But if you made the draw, yeah, you're a favorite, but you have the black pieces. Draw is not a tragedy. You'll be a favorite. You'll be a favorite in a coming tiebreak. But of course, you won't. You wouldn't mind to win the classical game to go. To have an extra rest day. And particular position is something actually that we were talking about yesterday. It's so rich of ideas. Those fluid structures. So this is precisely the field you like to outplay your opponent in.
No, and besides, in this position, you don't really choose if you play for a win or for a draw. You have to come up with ideas and play best moves you can.
Yeah, it's like
black is not in control.
That's what they always say. Like, play against the pieces, not against the opponent. Always look for the best move. It's just that it never works. That's the problem. At some point, you just have to make decisions affected by the tournament situation and so on and so on. It would be so perfect if you just, look at the position.
Well, I know it's not going to happen, but let's just think about this possibility. So what if Levon plays a couple of moves and is not feeling comfortable, not happy with the opening and offers a draw? Yeah, and then I'm not sure that Evgeny will take it. I'm not sure. Hey, take a draw, and then, you're not going to feel very good about this. Going into the tiebreak, and you're not a favorite there at all. I think Evgeny could go all the way in this game. So Levon Aronian is not just a guy who decides now what's happening.
Could be, yeah. Well, as someone in the Twitch chat again, or no, it was a YouTube chat, as someone put it, white is already sort of all in this game. Well, not quite, but yeah, there is certain commitment. With this pawn structure, if you... Yeah, as Alex put it about some other game, you lose the long game if there is a long game, right? I mean, very likely that the c4 pawn will eventually fall.
And guess
Just
what?
that,
Look at
Queen
that move.
c6 was paid.
How
Queen
about
c6,
What's up with these people?
provoking d5 and then
they
coming back.
sacrifice time. I mean, that's
Okay.
all right. That's
Okay,
the new
let's
trend
move on.
up there. At
Let's
the
move
elite
on
level.
to
Okay.
something, not sure what.
You tell me.
That's like the problem covering the first round of the World Cup. It's just that those 64 games, you're not sure what you want to look at. You can't cover them all. So instead of me calling the board, Alex, can you look through those positions and maybe find something interesting?
Yeah, I'm looking through something that's already exciting. I would say this position is quite exciting.
Yes, absolutely.
But just this for two reasons. First of all, because it's Hikaru Nakamura, and I know the chat is probably killing you already.
No, not yet. But yeah, there
Also,
are...
Nakamura's
there
fans
are-
are asleep.
Yep.
They can't be.
Yeah, it
Is
is.
that the
It's
time
possible.
difference?
There is quite a bit of time difference with the
Yeah.
US.
The
I
true
see like
Nakamura
10
fan never sleeps.
Never sleeps,
No,
okay.
never sleeps. All right. Okay, we're looking at this move h5, and I'm sure some people will be screaming, "Hey, Naka, back to his old tricks and all that." Funny thing is, it happens to be the main theoretical move in this position.
Yeah, nowadays
Yep.
they kind of figured out that h5 is, strangely enough, it's a prophylactical move against later on knight's appearance on g3.
Exactly.
And as well, the alternative is rather grim, because if you play g6, then white, if I'm not mistaken, they actually switched to long castle plan and h4 march himself. Yeah.
And the move h6, well, it's playable, of course, and it had been played. Well, white knows what to do. They castle, they put their knight on g3, and then you have this issue with the f5 square. By the way, those of you who were watching yesterday, remember Ali Reza Firouzja and his little clinic on how to use the f5 square. Case in point. So therefore, the move h5 now has nothing to do with Nakamura's match situation or fighting spirit or personality. He's just following what is currently is recommended. Among players who play this
Game, it's board 6 again.
yeah.
And meanwhile, we'll see how those top guns are doing. I mean, it's
Well, let's just first do Levon.
Yeah.
Now,
how is it a draw? I don't know.
Black
I
is
mean,
going backward, big time. My first impression here that Black is lost. No, well, I mean, if I just walking by, and I saw a game between random people, I hate to say this about Levon Aronian. Just
is
looks
it a position? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't put these pieces on the board. No, right. This is where we left off. The tempo.
Queen c6,
Now,
yeah.
the very next move we
d5.
did not guess. The
And then
Queen
Queen
Fianchetto.
d7.
I did not expect that. I did not.
Okay.
I thought he's sacrificing two moves to
Then
provoke d5.
white takes on
Yeah.
f6. Quite clever to play rook b1 to prevent this knight from going to b3 and
b3,
c5.
c5. Yeah, this is very clever. You're right. And
And then I have a serious question. Why don't you castle long here as black? Because, I mean, it's not like we have to analyze the position of the castle long, but what Levon did, this queen c8 thing and knight b7, this just looks ugly.
no, well, yeah, that's the thing. Now, well, Black's lucky enough there is no c5. No, I mean there is c5. It's just not very impressive.
No, c5.
White's lacking development for c5. It's a pawn sacrifice without any particular benefit. So, no, right? I guess White will do development then. Maybe he just thought, okay, why? I mean, that was the question, why Fianchetto the queen? I think Levon's mind is drifting between his desire to play for a win and finish this whole thing because he's looking ahead to whatever he's playing next, whoever he's playing next, and some kind
This
of
next game might not happen. I mean, if you play like this.
Well, that's the whole thing. Should I mean, lose my free day if I have to show up here tomorrow? And then, indeed, it may be much worse than that. Now, the history of World Championship knockout tournaments and the World Cup does know major upsets that happened fairly early in the tournament. I've been meaning to look it up. I unfortunately didn't, but I will. That's my homework.
Yeah, that's like
I'm going to look at all major upsets in the modern history.
there were
this
quite a
whole-
few
yeah.
losses of the
The top-rated players.
very top players in round one. Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, let's jump
So-
to the current position.
Yeah, so he went this way, so more moves with the queen.
Yeah, moving the
And then
knight.
the move h5 is understandable because the white knight
You
comes
want to
to-
prevent the knight from appearing on h5. And then El King
Oh.
goes g4.
Yeah, he's fighting for the h5 square. He wants to complete his knight maneuver.
H
And,
takes f
what's
takes,
not to
knight
like?
c5, knight h5, king e7 was played, and white just castled short, it seems.
Well, in my estimation, he just attacked the pawn on f6.
Yeah, but it's not that straightforward on the other hand.
You think so? How's it possible to play this position? You've got to go like rook h6 and queen g8 or queen...
Queen h8. Rook,
Queen
rook
h8
h6, queen h8, rook g8. Maybe that's the long-term plan for Levon.
Okay.
And all of a sudden it might turn out that white has castled into black's attack. The bishop on a6 is not doing all that much, but
Yeah,
know.
white's problem that the queen is tethered to the bishop on d3, to the defense. You know, the bishop isn't doing anything in the attack itself, and it's a liability. So therefore, no red. If you're...
yeah, I mean, of course e5 is the move you want to play, but
Yeah,
I don't really
kind of-
see why
I
would
don't
you.
know.
That takes with d pawn. Takes with d pawn, then still queen h8 is on the list.
Yeah, queen h8. So the immediate sacrifice on f6. Yeah, I was looking at things like this, but this needs to be investigated. Sometimes things like this work.
Yeah, rook h6 is on the board, and I've got a confirmation that Compi in fact likes black's position a lot. So queen g8, according to computer, was even a better move. And I was thinking of it like queen g8, knight f6, queen g5, I suppose. But rook h6 is good enough, and black is actually doing fine.
Well, yeah, but there is one problem that the players don't know that. In the game between two human players, there's a certain degree of anxiety because you know you need a couple of moves. If you get by this sticky moment, then indeed you're better and winning. But you don't know that maybe there's something for white. Obviously, computers know. They know it
Well,
all.
looking at Levon, I think he knows he has a good position. I mean, the way he walks in the playing hall, I mean, he just left the board and he looked pretty relaxed.
Okay.
All right, so let's check the top boards, right? I know that all 5 top seed, they won their games once, so it's very likely that they'll go through, but just quickly. So Dingley ran